welcome to another episode of Oops All Dragons. My name is Lisa, and I have in the virtual studio today my co-host,
Varun.
Hi. I'm not doing this for an hour.
Okay, so next time, just Samuel L. Jackson. Just go nuts. Just get real crazy right off the bat.
No, I can't bring that kind of energy.
You just did. You literally just did.
We disagree on the energy level that I'm bringing today, but that's okay. Hey, hi, hello. Are you also running on 4 hours of sleep? Wonderful. Then this is going to be a great episode of Oops All Dragons. We're going to talk about... It's going to be a little quick one. We're going to talk about the second UA release for 1D&D, which includes some classes and updated spells and some updated rules, and we're gonna
class stuff.
Yeah, and when we'll get into it. But in the meantime, Varun, what have you been up to?
A little couple things. I got married, so I'll lead off with that one. I think that's
Casual.
Probably the most important one.
Noel put in some like vuvuzelas and some like
yeah, got married, so been a long time coming. We just figured out, hey, that was the day. Let's go get married. Let's get married
on Halloween.
Yeah, and we got married on Halloween day because Nova's spooky, and we want to have a spooky anniversary that we can both remember. And funny enough, I will never forget that the day we got married by a woman dressed as Winifred Sanderson from the American classic Hocus Pocus.
And Hocus Pocus too.
I was gonna say, it's very coincidental, very good for me that it was Winifred Sanderson because Nova loves the Hocus Pocus, so actually made me watch Hocus Pocus and then Hocus Pocus 2 not too long ago, a few weeks ago. So before that, I'd never seen any of these movies, and I was just like, what is this crap? And now, after I see it, I'm like, oh, okay. And now we're married. Now we're married by Winifred Sanderson. She was on point, too. Like, if, like, right height, right hair, outfit on point. The only thing is she didn't have the giant buck teeth.
Yeah, well, she did still need to be able to do her job.
Yeah.
I've tried to go to work with some fake teeth in, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah. The one person who was in costume at the courthouse that day, that's who got us.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And then my critique of the Hocus Pocus movies, because yes, I've seen them both recently, and my thoughts are they're not very good. Because
they're for children.
Yeah, I mean, even so, like, my biggest issue is the witches themselves, of just like, they're supposed to be the villains? They seem so incompetent and non-threatening. Why?
Oh yeah, they definitely defanged them for the sequel.
In the first movie too.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know, merchandising.
The worst thing they do is the very beginning of the first movie. They killed a little girl, and like, it's not violent, it's just like magic, and they make her, they suck the youth out of her and whatever, and she dies. I'm like, okay, that's bad. But then after that, they're basically jokes for the rest of the movie. Bette Midler's doing dance numbers and singing. Kathy Najimy is there being goofy as shit, doing her one other thing that isn't Peggy Hill. And then Sarah Jessica Parker, before she got into Sex and the City, just being a bimbo. That's her character. And then they just didn't change them for the second movie. And the whole thing about the second movie is that in the beginning, they seem to be trying to humanize them a little more, show them how they became witches and why they were like kind of, the outcasts in their village and all of that. And then just make them the villains again. I thought they were going to make like, oh, there's some bigger, badder witch or something like that, and now they're going to be actually good guys. No, there's bad guys again. There's the bad guys, and like the resolution is, Winifred finds her hearts and whatever, and she doesn't want to be without her sisters, and that's the end of the movie. What a shit ending.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I can't fully defend it, but also, shut up, turn your brain off. This is not, you're not supposed to think about it.
I watched it, and I was just like, yeah, if I saw this and I was like fucking 10, even if I was 10, I would still be like, why are they the bad guys?
Yeah,
like,
but you're a nerd.
Even if I was a child, I'd be like, why are they scared of them? Like, they're just no threat. There's certain parts of the ground they just can't walk on. Just be there. Like, what are they going to do to you?
No. It's a little bit like the classic zombie thing of like, why are you freaking out? Just walk fast.
Sure, but even in the zombie movie, like, there's metatextual things of like, oh, the zombies are metaphors for consumerism and shit like that.
Right. But if we're talking about you're a 10-year-old watching a movie.
And then in the world, like, yeah, one isn't dangerous, but like 100 of them, oh shit. Yeah, that could be a problem. But yeah, it's just like, I never, in both of those movies, I just never get it. Like, just make them good guys. Everyone likes them. They're the only reason everyone likes those fucking movies. No one remembers anybody else who was in those movies. It's just those three, and apparently, frickin'
Billy.
Yeah, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones is Billy, who came back in the second one, and he was there being Billy.
That man loves to be put in a suit.
He does. And it's weird. You hear interviews about him doing Star Trek Discovery, and he was absolutely ready to just like not be in prosthetics and everything for a big role. And then they're like, "Yo, you get to be this alien Saru with like real long fingers and like these things that pop out of his head." And he's like, "Yeah, baby, do it. Put me in the suit."
Oh man. Get in the robot, Shinji. Get in the Ava. That's get in the prosthetics, or Doug Jones is gonna have to do it again.
Get in the prosthetics, Doug Jones. Get in the mocap suit, Andy Serkis. Do it. No. Do it now.
Oh man. Well. Fascinating.
And the last thing I've been up to is being sick, which, both of us, I think, are sick right now with the flu TM. So,
yeah.
If we sound terrible, that's why.
Yeah, you've got the flu TM. I've got I was irresponsible and was out until 2 a.m. last night. TM.
I mean, sure. So what have you been up to? What's been going on in your world?
Nothing. I picked up a real life physical book yesterday.
Huh?
I finally, serendipitously, I've never actually seen it in stores before, but I found a copy of the first book in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series called The Color of Magic. So that's another like classic fantasy series that I'm gonna finally like start reading, start getting into. Oh, wait. Had I gone to the Florence and the Machine concert already when the last time we recorded?
I don't know. I don't think you have. I think we talked about Florence and the Machine before, but no.
Well, I went to the Florence and the Machine concert. I went both nights at the Hollywood Bowl. The Friday night, I realized that the tickets that I had were in like the nosebleeds of the nosebleeds, and I was like, no, this album and this artist, like, they're too important to me. So before I even left the stadium on Friday night, I purchased another ticket for Saturday. I already had tickets for Saturday. I went in and I bought another set of tickets for Saturday for the pit so that I could be right up on the barrier and like look her in the eye. And she saw me and my friend and we looked really cool in our outfits. We looked like, I looked like, you know, we looked like representatives of the Seelie and Unseelie court. Like my friend was in all pinks and had like a flower headdress and everything. And I was in all black and red and looking gothic and dramatic. And she looked at us and like give us a thumbs up, and it was pretty fucking magical.
Oh, you made eye contact?
I made eye contact with the Fae Queen herself. Ah, man, that shit was so good.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think we were talking about the Hollywood Bowl last time, but I don't think the concert had happened yet. You're talking about this place, and you're like, it's great, but parking shit.
Mm-hmm. My friend taught me a trick of, like, you get dropped off. Like, you get an Uber, you get dropped off basically across the street and basically in a neighborhood across the way from the bowl, and then it's like less than a half-mile walk. It's like a 15-minute walk to actually get to the bowl, and you don't have to deal with traffic at all. It's fantastic.
I mean, that's not a trick. That's like people in Miami, like everyone does that.
Listen, I don't go to things that often, so these little things amaze me when I learn them, okay? I am a shut-in, and I'm only learning to go outside now, so...
Freaking SuperCon, that, you know, you are familiar with SuperCon down here.
Yeah, but SuperCon, I used to get dropped off.
Exactly, you get dropped off, you don't have to worry about parking, and then when it's time to go, get a ride. Bing, bang, boom.
The answer is just don't drive there.
Exactly, that's the answer. Don't drive there, or don't park there.
Yeah. Let's see. So there's the Florence concert. Started reading a book. That's kind of it. Gone out. Like been outside. Started taking little walks. I discovered that I enjoy walking outside. And the weather's starting to change here. Like yesterday or day before was the first really like properly chilly day here. It was in like the 60s.
Chilly. It's in the 60s.
Listen, I'm a delicate tropical fish. We know this,
so am
and we
I.
love this.
It's 84 degrees outside right now where I am.
Yeah, but because like really I get cold at like 74, but it was in the 60s, so I actually wore like tights and like arm warmers, and it was a good time.
I just got back from the UK. I also did that, so that was fun for a week. And yeah, we actually had pretty good weather there. Everyone I was talking to was like, pack a jacket, pack like a big, you know, cold weather jacket. Get over there, it's like, you know, the 70s, the 60s.
Oh.
Yeah, get over there and like, this is fine. I don't need anything until the last couple days. Then the last couple days, then it wasn't super cold, but it became super rainy. It became UK weather, so
yeah,
it enhanced the kind of briskness. Then became depressing. And I was like, okay, this is the UK weather they were talking about. It's just been raining literally all day.
All right. Enough weather talk. We can't weather pod. That's not fair to anybody. Oh. Let's talk about this UA. Unless you have something else.
Last thing on the UK. Nando's is the shit. Awesome chicken. And,
Cheeky Nando's.
And the sausage roll at Greg's. The best thing I've ever had for breakfast in my life. How do we not have that here? It's amazing.
They do know how to do breakfast. I feel like everywhere else knows how to do breakfast in a way that like
I did not have.
We just don't
English
get it
though.
In the U.S. Oh, you didn't get beans?
No. I make it sound like I went all the way to England and I ate just like the chains. Like we went to other places too, but that like those are the two places that just stood out as like, you know, I thought they were going to be okay. I'm just going to go over. I've heard these names. Let me try them out. Like, this is good. This is awesome. Nando's, like, their chicken's awesome over there. And then Greg's just like, it changed my world. It changed my world with that sausage roll. But that's it. That's all I want to add on that right now.
Oh man, the continuation of the food podcast that exists within the D&D podcast.
One of these days, we're just gonna start talking about food opinions, and the podcast is gonna end because we're gonna get into it.
It's like, I can't stand this man. He doesn't
what-
know about putting honey in coffee. I can't
what-
stand him.
What are your opinions on mayonnaise? Just
Listen, are you asking me this question because I have kind of a surprising opinion?
You have 1 minute. You have 1 minute to give me an opinion.
60 seconds?
Yes.
So, in assimilating to American culture, mayonnaise was one of the easier things because Brazilians also love mayonnaise. You put that shit in a lot of things. You put it in a sandwich. You make like we love a potato salad. You just be putting mayo and stuff. It just goes in stuff. It's used as a condiment and an ingredient. I am particularly fond of Japanese mayo because it's made with, I think it's made with rice wine vinegar instead of regular vinegar. So it's like a little sweeter, a little tangier. It's got like a different sort of.
It's very good.
The Kewpie mayo is so good. It's the only thing I keep in the house, and I always keep Kewpie mayo and sriracha in the house because sometimes you want to make, dino chicken nuggies in the air fryer and have some spicy mayo to dip it in.
Spicy mayo.
Sorry to say, I'm a mayo enjoyer.
Oh, God.
Crucify me. Burn me at the stake.
You're one of the... Oh, God. Mayo enjoyer. Like, I come from a family, growing up, we never put mayo on anything. You put mayo on something, that's sacrilegious. It's like, what are you doing? What went wrong with your life? Ketchup and mustard, maybe, depending on the thing. Hot sauce, that was the thing, obviously.
Obviously.
We just put hot sauce on everything. But just mayo bullshit, just what is this? What is going on?
Man.
As I have progressed as a human being, I don't like go out of my way for mayo, but I will eat things with it. Like, yeah, potato salad, deviled eggs, maybe, whatever. Some of that stuff. And obviously I probably had things with mayo in it when I was younger, but it was never like, yeah, put it on top of something to kick it off, to add the flavor. I hate mayo flavor. Just add it on top. So it's just, what the fuck? What is wrong with this shit? But using it as an ingredient, okay.
Sometimes it's a textural thing. Also, one of the ways that, like, one of the tricks for, like, making instant ramen a little bit more fancy is you crack an egg into a bowl, put a little bit of Kewpie mayo, put the, like, broth packet in there, put some hot sauce in there, put some sriracha.
What is this?
You mix it up, and then you put the broth into it slowly so it doesn't cook the egg, but it makes it like a creamy broth.
What the fuck?
It's actually delicious. Don't you put like a crushed some like finely minced garlic in there, ginger if you're
just
fancy.
Make a real dish at this point. What are you even doing?
Turning it into a real dish. What do you want? You want me to ramen? Go and make like alkaline noodles and make ramen? No. I'm gonna just put slightly more effort into this thing. I'm just gonna
put all these things on it.
It sounds so complicated because well, no, it's still quicker than anything else, but also I make it sound more complicated than it actually is.
All right.
It like still takes all of 5 minutes.
I've never heard. I've heard of people putting other stuff on their. I've never heard of people getting that fancy with it. Like maybe an egg or something. Like egg and mayo and sriracha and all this other stuff. Like damn. All right.
No, it creates this like creamy base.
All right.
That like, and then it's whatever. You're a non-believer. Right. That's okay.
I am a non-believer in mayo. I don't believe mayo exists. I don't believe mayo's real.
Oh man.
All right. Enough about mayo.
Mayo.
Let's get to this.
Let's get to the Oh no, I was supposed to make the joke of like, let's get to the. No, there's no joke there. I was really reaching. I was trying to find like a smooth transition. It's just not gonna happen. Yeah, because that implies then that you don't like this Unearthed Arcana and I do, which I am perfectly neutral on this Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah.
There are some things
just like last time. Some ups, some downs.
Yeah, which is par for the course. It's playtest material. That's kind of the point. So, this Unearthed Arcana includes some new rules for how classes are going to work. And very specifically, it breaks down 4 classes. 4 classes? 3 classes? 3 classes.
3
Bard,
classes.
Ranger, and Rogue.
It mentions 4, but it actually breaks down 3 into the new rules.
Yeah, so there's class groups, which I like because I feel like that's going to make choosing in character creation, especially for newer players, it kind of helps break down
some of those hard barriers that were kind of there between.
It helps explain more like what the class does. Mm-hmm. So like when you're asking a new player, like, okay, do you want to be a spellcaster? Do you want to be a fighter? Do you want to be a holy person? Like, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. I feel like the way that the class groups are broken down, could the verbiage be a little more clear? Yes, but I like the idea of breaking it down into 4 groups of 3 classes.
3 so we've got depending.
Well, yeah, because the artificer.
Yeah.
So we have the experts group, the mages group, the priests group, and the warriors. The experts. The experts are the bard, the ranger, and the rogue, which are the classes that this UA breaks down. The artificer is also an expert.
Broken down because it's not a core.
It's not one of the core classes. Go, Varun. Sure. I know you have things to say.
Sure. So, class groups, it's not a new idea. It's existed in other systems. It has existed in D&D in the past. But yeah, on the same page, I think it's a good idea. Doesn't hurt because it's just another way of organizing these classes into groups. So you've got the overall, like, all classes, then down into your subcategory, and then down into what class am I actually, and then beyond that, what subclass are you? Yeah, I think it's a good idea because now, like I was saying before, a lot of these kind of hard barriers between a lot of the classes can go away for things that are kind of tangentially related, mostly for like feats and magic, which is what they're addressing in this UA. Because there are a lot of class-specific, there are race-specific feats, but there are also class-specific feats where, yeah, you have to be in a certain class to even be able to take this feat, even though it might make sense for a slightly adjacent class to be able to do that thing. So now just making the requirement, you need to be an expert to have, I think it's expertise or whatever else. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's going to make builds a lot more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you'll probably see maybe beyond even multi-classing, just a lot of really weird flexible builds that weren't able to be made before. And then we mentioned on the last UA one where all the magic is now in these 3 primary lists of arcane, primal, and divine. Same thing. Break down a lot of those barriers. You don't need a spell list for every single class. It's just there's these big 3 lists, and then each of the class takes from them, and then go ahead and choose. Because yeah, I think a lot of the restrictions on the class spell lists as they are right now in 5e, some of them seem kind of wonky or unbalanced. Whereas just making all the magic available to, a sorcerer. You're a mage.
Mm-hmm.
You're a wizard. You're also a mage.
I mean,
choose from arcane, but then depending on what class you are, you're still going to get the same number of spells.
Mm-hmm.
well, open up those options.
I mean, I feel like I've complained about this before. The fact that, what was it? I think it was like Hunger of Hadar, or it's one of those like eldritch horror flavored spells that isn't on the Warlock spell list for some reason.
Yeah.
Confusingly. And I feel like this is gonna, I need to look at it.
Alleviate all of that stuff where, you're an arcane caster of whatever stripe, just be able to pick that magic. I think that's, again, breaking down a lot of those...
Yeah, Arms of Hadar.
Okay.
That was one that, like, I could not understand why that was not on the Warlock spell list. Like, at least, like, the way that the spell is flavored. It's like
a Warlock thing.
It's like, this abyssal... kind of like, what do you mean?
Yeah, any abyssal thing is like a Warlock thing.
Right.
Flavor-wise.
Yeah.
So this is the thing we were asking about in the last UA, because we got all race stuff but no class stuff. So now we have some new race stuff, and the I think they're all the core races. They're not finalized, obviously, and now 3 new classes that we can play with.
Which is actually going to make playtesting this more possible.
More representative of what a real game might look like.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things they did with all the classes that they've shown so far is whatever your level 20 feature was, as it stands right now, that's been bumped down to level 18. And then level 20 is technically the same for everyone, where you get to take an epic boon, which is a thing that's been in 5e, just like none of, at least us specifically, we've never gotten a chance to play with that too much, just because we've never gotten to a game that gets to, level 20.
Level 20,
and you need epic boons. That's interesting. I have no idea, how like an end game would work, where now it's super flexible. And when I say it's technically the same for everyone gets an epic boon at level 20. There's a suggested one in the book saying this is what's suggested for this class, but you can pick another one if you want.
I like the fact that they moved the old like 20th level feature down to 18th, because also I always felt like it kind of screwed people who multiclassed out of being able to like get their best thing. Where now you can at least know that like you could take up to 2 levels in something else and then still get, sure, you're not going to get that epic boon at the end, but you're gonna get something. Yeah,
not just something, something really good.
Yeah,
like the monk thing. Of they just like can't die. they can't, like, they pretty much cannot die. That sort of stuff. Rogues become undetectable, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think the whole new class structure looks good. I don't know if they've done too much rejiggering of too much of the class features or anything too much at this stage. They've done some, obviously. But then one of the other changes that they made to kind of shrink down the list is that they took away the ability score improvements as, the every 4th level thing, and just made ability score improvement a feat. So when you take that feat, you would get the equivalent of the ability score improvement instead. So now, they can kind of fill up that class specific, that list of class stuff with class specific things. God, that sentence. More. With more class specific things. So that's another change that pretty much everyone anticipated. Just make ability score increase just another feat someone could take or someone could receive, and there you go, have at it.
Yeah, they also walked back, which I guess it was a planned thing to walk back that decision to make
at this stage. A lot of people think it's the walking back, but the zeros, or not the zeros, the ones and 20s, being success and failure, that is something they had planned already. That wasn't even based on feedback at that stage, because I watched the video for a couple of the writers and directors on this stuff. When they were recording that, they still hadn't gotten all of the surveys back yet, so it's pretty early on. So I think they're probably they're just experimenting at this stage. I think the next UA we get is going to be the first one that's actually taken some feedback into account. But at least for my money, I think that's probably a good move, getting rid of the automatic success and failure on the 1s and 20s for ability tests, because that's so swingy. I mentioned it last time. An experienced DM will know how to handle that no problem. A new DM coming into the game, that can destroy a game, depending on when a player rolls that 1 or that 20. So I think it's a good idea right now. And they slightly changed up how the critical hits are going to work. Again, they changed it from just weapon dice. Now they're just going back to the regular 5e rules of just double every dice. But a 1 will give you inspiration now. So you fail the hit, you critically fail the hit, but you get a little bonus coming back of, okay, I super failed, but I get this other thing to help myself or help the party with inspiration if I don't already have it. So I think that's a good balance, because having the inspiration on the 20 as well as the doubling the dice for the crit, I don't know.
It makes it kind of top heavy on that exactly. D20. That's too many things that happen.
That's my issue with people who play with like critical fumble tables and that sort of thing. It never behooves the players to play with something like that, because the DM has so many more resources than the player does. They roll so many more dice, usually, tests, than the DM does. So having automatic fails and having them be punishing I don't think is ever a good idea. I think having that little bit of redemption for the inspiration on the 1, not a bad way to go. I think that's actually a good thing of just like, I'm screwed, but you know what? I have this other thing that, again, next turn I can come back and maybe do better, or send it to someone else, because you can give other people inspiration as well.
Yeah, no, I like that it says that if you already have inspiration, it doesn't stack, obviously, but you can give it to somebody else, so it doesn't just,
disappear,
vanish into the ether. That is a great little addition. Because sometimes there's just some people who just don't end up getting inspiration and need it. Yeah.
And on that same vein, in that same video I was watching, they haven't put in the book yet, but they're thinking about giving the thing where humans get inspiration on a long rest to just every race, which I will say they're stealing my idea, because that's what I do all the time.
It's true.
I will absolutely forget to just give you guys inspiration, because I'm dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff as I'm running this game, and then great role play is happening. Most of the time I'm like, I'm either doing an NPC or I just want to like pay attention to what's going on, versus let me work in this game mechanic into what's happening right now, versus just making a thing, someone wakes up, boom, they have inspiration and they can use it. That's so much simpler.
Yeah, something else I wanted to talk about is the update to the exhausted condition. So as it currently stands in 5e, how much of that like chart of what each level of exhaustion does, how much of it can you just like recite?
The first one is skill checks. First level exhaustion skill checks for second
at disadvantage.
Skill checks at disadvantage. Second level is attack rolls and saving throws, right? Third level of exhaustion is speed decreased, right?
Right.
And fourth level exhaustion, is that one where you just straight up die?
10th level of exhaustion is the one where you straight up die.
Oh, no. I mean, in in today's exhaustion, how many levels are there? There's not 10 levels of
So
exhaustion.
there
In 5e?
in 5e, yes.
What?
Let me no, is it 10 levels? It's not 10 levels.
No,
it's 6
that's-
levels. It's 6 levels.
Okay,
I'm crazy.
yeah.
I'm thinking of in the UA,
Yeah, in the
you
UA,
can
there's a whole
go
bunch of new levels.
you die if your exhaustion level exceeds 10.
Yeah.
The
Okay, so it's 6 I was thinking about.
yeah,
So,
so
I got the first 3. I've never
Yeah.
gone beyond that.
exactly. No one's ever gone beyond 3. And also
Okay,
it
one
scales. It scales really. I feel like there's just this like once you hit like that 4th level of exhaustion, it scales kind of out of control. It's like disadvantage on ability check, speed half, disadvantage on attack rolls,
Oof.
and saving throws. Those are deeply inconvenient, yes, but then once you hit that 4 or 5, it's like, okay, what? Like once you hit like 5,
What is the 5th
like
level?
what are you supposed? The 5th level is speed reduced to 0.
Oh.
So your party members are having to like carry you around.
Yeah.
And then what if the entire party is like being affected by something that gets them to that point?
They did.
Yeah, you're done. Like what are you supposed to do then?
And then 6th level is just straight up
Is death. Yeah. In the new exhausted condition rules, it's a little easier. I feel like it's easier to remember. I'll read it to you as it is. While you are subjected to the exhausted condition, you experience the following effects. Levels of exhaustion. This condition is cumulative. Each time you receive it, you gain 1 level exhaustion. You die if your exhaustion levels exceeds 10. It affects your d20 rolls. When you make a d20 test, you subtract your exhaustion level from the d20 roll. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Your spell save DC is affected. Subtract your exhaustion level from the spell save DC. And ending the condition, finishing a long rest removes 1 of your levels of exhaustion. When your exhaustion level reaches 0, you are no longer exhausted. That makes sense. It's that sleep debt. But I think it's just so much easier than trying to like remember this. The scaling of like the 6 levels of exhaustion. Okay, you can go up to 10, and for every level of exhaustion, you subtract that number from d20 rolls in your spell save DC. Easy.
Get to 10 levels of exhaustion. That's awful.
Well, no, it actually becomes. I feel like it actually becomes a more useful tool for DMs. Like now I'm like more willing to introduce some sort of
Sure.
creature or baddie or whatever, like
Something
put them in an
that's
encounter with, or yeah, put them in an encounter where like, because there are creatures and there are, you know, monsters that like will cause exhaustion with their abilities.
Yeah.
So now I'm more willing to put those in front of a player, or in front of my players, because now I'm not scared of it killing them.
I was gonna say,
you know?
previously, yeah, it'd be pretty easy to kill someone.
Exactly.
If they get targeted by the wrong monster.
It takes a little bit longer to get to that 10, and also like it scales very smoothly. And I think like, yeah, it makes sense if you go 10 days without sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad fucking time.
Yeah. For that one, I'm still always iffy on putting more math into how things are calculated. But, like, it's pretty easy math. My only issue is maybe the spell save DC. Like, okay, now I have to calculate a new DC based on every level of exhaustion I have. And again, this is all taking into account them keeping D&D Beyond kind of in the forefront of things. So
Yes.
I assume as you get these levels of exhaustion, on
There
the
will be
sheet,
some sort of
it'll
mechanic on
calculate
this.
for
Yeah.
you. So that way, that's fine.
And
Doing this
to
manually
that,
starts to get a little.
yeah, it does start to get a little crunchy. That is something that I've noticed with these UAs, is that there is a little bit of crunchiness coming back to creeping in, and I think it is because like now that D&D Beyond is a part of D&D, it's as much a part of D&D as the player's handbook, you know,
Pretty much.
which I have thoughts on that maybe I talked about this last time. I don't know what I'm saying ever. I don't know when I'm repeating myself, but like I don't like it's not going to be completely inaccessible to people who don't have access to D&D Beyond and stuff, but it is going to be harder for people who want to just do pen and paper and, you know, a physical character sheet and or, you know, there are people out there who want to play this game who like don't have access to the internet.
Or like want to go old school and be like, yeah, this is pen and paper and like you have to remember the thing. So take notes. Or whatever it is. That's going to be interesting because, the coming generation, or the generation coming up, I should say, they're grown up with D&D Beyond. Like, it's not a, novel new thing for them. It's like, this is just D&D. It's just like, the app does it all for me. And, like, the pen and paper, I think, is going to go more and more by the wayside for most kind of modern groups, because everyone has a phone on them. Not everyone has a piece of paper and a pen most of the time.
But that's the thing is that's what I'm saying is like not everybody has a phone on them. Like there are people in the world who want to play this game who don't necessarily have like internet access or like just like access to it. So like it does
but also
begin to
isn't like a bandwidth hog.
Right.
It's a bunch of numbers.
No, of course. But it's just I feel like if they start to lean on the assumption that if you're playing this game nowadays then you're on D&D Beyond like as a given, I think that's going to end up shutting. Maybe it's a small portion of people. Maybe it's not a lot of people that fit in this category. But it's still, I don't know. I still feel it still feels icky. The knowledge that like there is going to be a group of people who are inevitably like kind of, it's gatekept.
It's just the inverse of what it was before. Of just like when it was all pen and paper, you needed to know the rules, and if the rules were Byzantine to you, then that was your bar to entry. And I think that was a much larger bar for most folks.
Versus, for sure.
Obfuscating all of that behind the backdrop of D&D Beyond, it does all the stuff for you, and then you just have to click a thing and it does it for you. You don't technically need to know how to calculate your DC or how to calculate an attack roll or anything at this point. I think that's a much lower bar for most people. And because it isn't, you're not installing an app on your phone, it's not any sort of real bandwidth hog per se, and you can still roll physical dice with it. Like, you just have the numbers, like, okay, I've got dice, roll it. I think, really, the folks who are going to really want to push pen and paper still are just going to be more old hats who, like, that's how they did it, that's how they want to do it, and that's how they would want to keep doing it. I think most folks coming in today would just absolutely be happy to just have the app do it all for them, and versus the ones who just knew everything and knew how to calculate all of this and knew how all the rules work were the only ones who could let people in.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance between the two, of going too far in one direction and going too far in the other.
I'm always sounding the bell of too much crunchiness. I don't think it's there yet, but
yeah, noticeable. I myself am a person that like D&D only became accessible to me really like because of D&D Beyond being a genuinely useful tool, and I was lucky enough to be able to have access to it. I just think of the children. Think of the children. I am thinking of the children.
They're like, yeah, cool. This is all for awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to actually think about it. I could just sit here and play pretend, and like the computer crunches the numbers for me. Fantastic.
Exactly. I think of and you probably heard some of this too when you were in school. Teachers saying you're never going to carry out a calculator in your pocket. Guess what? Guess what, teacher?
The entirety of human knowledge accessible to me within seconds. And my tiny little monkey brain was not built to handle that. And that's why I am mentally ill. That's what the teachers should have said, is one day you're going to have not only a calculator in your pocket, but just
everything.
A little rectangle that puts bad thoughts in your brain.
Just get off social media. At least
I would love to. I would love to, but that's how I find work.
Fine, have a work one, and then just like don't use it for anything else because I know you do. But yes, continuing on from things aren't the way they used to be anymore. So other things I'm definitely liking some of the changes that they're making to a lot of the spells and conditions. So first off, grapple condition, excellent. It's just it's no longer having to calculate a whole bunch of bullshit and remember who has to make a save to do what to break or get a grapple or any of that. It's just you make an unarmed strike, you can just choose to grapple. Boom. Just like creatures could previously. Just boom, you hit, the grapple. Excellent. And it works the same as before. Speed becomes 0. You'll have disadvantage attacking anything other than the thing that's grappling you. I think that's a little new. But generally, just the execution of it makes grappling so much more of, I don't know, a thing
useful?
to even, not even useful, just a thing people would even consider in combat versus like, hey, I'm the guy who did the grappler build, so like I know exactly what to do versus, Joe Fighter over there who's like, I got a sword, I'm a sword him. Now it's a thing that you can actually just punch, grapple, cool, and then you have a DC, to break out of the grapple, and you can just choose how you break out of it.
Yeah, which reminds me that one thing that I did do recently is I played in a one-shot that Austin ran with a bunch of the people from House of Spirits, and I played my I keep calling him a construct, like my automaton, but it is a warforged.
Cool.
But he's my automaton. What is it? College of Blades?
Bard?
College of Swords Bard, yeah. And it was fun to be a stabby guy.
Funny enough.
Gets to my turn in combat. Guess what? I know
exactly what to do.
Stab. I don't have to think about it. I know
hard. Exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's why
That's
why I like martial classes.
Yeah, and that was a particularly, like, my ADHD was really hitting that day, so I kept, like, pacing around the house, and I was pacing around the living room, like, obviously, like, still listening, but sometimes I'd go in and out, and I'd come back, and it's my turn, and I'm like, I stab. A swish, swash.
Stab.
With panache, I do a flip.
And funny enough, I played a full caster for the first time in a long time. Or, not a long time, ever. I don't think I've ever actually played a full caster. Yeah, for Flynn's over there. They were running like a Halloween special one-shot session, so I played a full-on wizard.
Whoa.
And it was the story of the Bagman, which is a thing in D&D lore, of just the Bagman who lives in the bag of holding and will come out and try to grab you and take you in. And I nearly killed the Bagman, just fireballing him to death. But then, of course, that group plays with a critical table, so I'm doing just fine. And then I take one crit, and it takes me down to all, we're level 5, just takes all of my HP away in one hit.
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, I hate critical tables. This is the dumbest shit. Because, like, we could do everything right and just still fail. But playing a full caster was interesting as well. Because, it's just like, I can't just run up on him. No, that's a bad idea. I'm squishy, even with mage armor. but I've got all this magic. Alright, I can't just blow it up because I'll just kill everyone, even though I can sculpt out certain people because I'm evocation. But our group's too big, so now I have to strategize. I have to look at positioning and all that stuff. So it was interesting going full magic and having all these new options that I've never really had before. and on that same idea of magic, looking at a lot of the skills in the new UA, or not skills, spells in the new UA, really making a lot of the kind of go-to ones the correct action. So like Guidance, Bane, Bless all become reactions instead of being they were what they were just actions before, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Bark Skin, Mage Armor become bonus actions again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to,
because now I'm going to actually use them. Yeah.
I'm going to arm myself up. I don't have to waste a whole turn to cast this thing, or I don't have to be that guy of like, I cast Mage Armor before combat starts.
Yeah.
So I don't lose a turn, essentially. Just like, oh, bonus action, cool. Defensive maneuver, which I think makes a lot of sense, probably to do with like Stone Skin and that sort of thing too.
I like that for ritual casting, you don't have to have the actual ritual feat. It's if the spell can be cast as a ritual, you can cast it as a ritual.
Yeah,
like you don't have to have like. Let's be honest. No one ever paid attention to that and just did it anyways.
Some classes get ritual casting by default, but some don't. So yeah, you would need to take a feat or something to give you that ritual casting ability. No one paid attention to that.
No one was paying attention to that at all.
Yeah, as long as if it's in your spell list and you've prepared it and it has that ritual tag, you can just use it as a ritual. Just like, it's nice and simple. I do very much like that.
Have you taken a look at the influence action?
Yes. That was the last thing I was going to mention. The influence action is not just, hey, roll persuasion.
Yeah, you have to you as the DM have to take into consideration the attitude of the person that they're trying to influence, and if it's somebody who doesn't like you, even if you roll a natural 20, they're not going to just stop hating you and do whatever it is that you say. Like, there's still like a limitation to how successful you can be depending on like what the interaction was and how this person feels about the party.
Yeah. I think they're just spelling out something that again was there for more seasoned DMs, but this is more for newer players. Like, this is an action in combat. You're taking your action to influence an NPC or a creature in a certain way to do something. But it's not just saying, hey, roll persuasion and then they're your best friend. It's, I'm trying to make them do X, so the DM will let you know what to do or what to roll to make that happen. But that's also not guaranteeing that influence is going to last forever and it's going to be positive, because like they say, if you fail or if something happens, in the combat that might change their opinion, any further checks are going to have like disadvantage to that stuff, because now it's definitely against you.
And I don't think that this is something that is exclusive to. I mean, this is obvious, right? It's not exclusive to combat. It's conversational encounters, right? You can use this as a guide for like how a scenario will play out. Yeah. This is a great thing for, like you said, for newer DMs, and even there are some seasoned DMs who could take a look at this.
I think a lot of folks run into the trap of like, I roll persuasion, oh, they're your best friend now because you succeeded. And they're never gonna betray you.
Yeah, and I really like that they like the sort of like introductory paragraph to this is, it isn't mind control. You can't force a creature to do something that is counter to the creature's alignment or that is otherwise repugnant to the creature. Are there rules lawyer players who are going to try to argue that what they're trying to ask of this person or this creature is actually not repugnant to them and that they should say yes? Yeah, but ultimately, like, it is up to the DM,
Mm-hmm.
and it is in the DM's hands to decide, like, what is repugnant to this NPC, and whether what the players are asking is something that there is any chance at all
Yeah.
of this NPC agreeing to, or, you know, complying with.
Yeah. I like that idea of spelling it out because, yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people just, in that same vein, they think persuasion is mind control or deception, essentially intimidation. They're all mind control. I win a check, they're going to do the thing that I want always.
Right.
And same thing with insight. Insight is a lie detector, and I instantly know if someone's lying to me or not based on, again, a roll of dice.
Right.
I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, because that's not how interactions work in real life. When you need to persuade someone of something in real life, you have to use your words and be clever and understand what that person wants and how you can use that to get them to do what you want. And yeah, this essentially forces players to, you know, be a little bit more clever and roleplay. Yeah, it's not forcing them,
It's
but
not
like
forcing them. It's how the
it's
DM
very much.
forces it.
I've definitely seen too many situations of like you walk up to an NPC and like without actually like saying anything, the player will just go, I'm gonna roll persuasion. It's like, okay, well, what are you saying to this person? What are you trying to persuade them of? Like, what are you saying? Like, how do you persuade this person?
Exactly.
Like, that's the game. The game is using your real life cleverness
even if you're not clever,
play out the scenario.
Even if you're not clever in real life, that's what the persuasion skill is for. Because like, you don't have someone lift a car to prove that they can throw a boulder or something like that.
Right.
So like,
no, I just mean that in the sense of like, you just still have to think.
You also don't auto roll the persuasion and then say what you want to do.
Right.
You say up front what you want to do, what you want to try to make happen, and then the DM tells you what to do, and it may not be persuasion, maybe some other thing to roll.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, the next time that I run a game in 8 years, whenever that happens, like one of the things that I do want to start implementing at my tables is do not tell me what it is that you want to roll.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what you're going to roll.
Yeah.
Because it keeps happening where like people are like,
no, I know.
And I know I do it too as a player. I know I do it too.
As much as possible, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm conscious of it, and I try to not do it.
Whenever someone does that, I'm just like, I'm gonna roll. It's like, no, you tell me what you want to do, and I'll tell you what to roll. just
yeah,
because like, that's a bad habit, especially for new players.
Yeah,
it's a bad habit for them to get into the mind of.
Yeah,
like, no, you
because
tell
it's
me.
and I can see how that it can kind of come from a little bit of that like video gamey kind of mentality, like an approach to tabletop roleplay, where like yes, you can use a lot of like video game terminology to like ease people into it, but you do there has to be like a distinction. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that plane is flying close to you.
So yeah, as I was saying, you can use video game terminology to help ease people into what tabletop role-playing is, but there is a certain point where you have to go, but this is role-playing, so you tell me what it is that you are doing, and if the thing that you are doing requires a check, I will tell you.
Exactly.
But otherwise, just tell me what it is that you are physically, you know, physically in the theater of your mind doing. Are you opening the door? Are you scooting out the chair? Are you saying hello? Are you not, like, what are you doing? Are you going to climb this tree? You're going to hop the fence? What is it that you're doing? And then I will tell you.
My pet peeve is when I'm the player and I'm, again, telling the DM what I want to do, really hinting at, you know, a certain skill I want to use, and they just don't get it. They're just like, they don't call for a roll. They're just like, no. I was like,
yeah. Yeah.
Which is another side of it, of like DMs get into that mindset of the player will tell me what they want, what skill they want to use. So if I don't hear that key word of make a persuasion roll or whatever, I just won't call for it. And that's another side of that same coin.
Yeah, there's definitely like a skill for DMs to learn to read the writing on the wall and understand what it is that your players are trying to do, and be that guide
of just like, is there, could I follow the tracks? No, for more for like history. I'll be like, could I look back in any of the books that I've read in the past to figure out what this thing might be?
Yeah.
Maybe we just throw history in there somehow.
Yeah, and to me that's where I love when players use skills that are not their like highest skills on their, skill tree. I love it when the character with a -1 intelligence tries to do a history check.
And they succeed.
I'm talking about myself. Like, it happens. I mean, you remember the what is it, that Arcana check where none of the mages got it, but the fighter got a natural 20. I was like, how do none of you know what this is? And I know what this is. This is wild. That was so funny.
The fighter got to be real smart that day.
Yeah. So I think like that's the other thing that like, gently reinforcing at your table, like, hey, don't tell me what it is that you're going to roll. I'm going to tell you what you're going to roll. Tell me what you're doing and I'll tell you what you're going to roll. Because in real life, you don't necessarily only do the things that you're good at. And we've talked about this before, but good God, it bears repeating. Because like it's something that like we all do it. We're looking at our sheet and there is that instinct to like maximize success.
Highest number.
Yeah. I feel like most commonly it's the like looking at each other's character sheets to see who has like the highest who has the highest perception and who has the highest survival and who has the highest strength. And we just know that every time the DM asks like, all right, who's leading the party through this forest, we all just turn to the ranger.
Turn to the ranger.
But I love being kind of an idiot at the table and going like, I know I don't have the highest intelligence. I know I'm not the strongest person, but I'm still going to try to do something that is, based in a skill that I'm not necessarily quote unquote good at, because maybe this is the one time I like pull it out, like, and pull it off.
Yeah.
And it's fun. This game is fun.
And also, failure is okay. You know what? You
yes.
tried to do the thing and you failed. You know what? Now you have a story.
I like, what an evolution for me. I think I've talked about this, that like as a player, I used to be like so scared of failure. And like, just like, dreading the day of like, oh my God, what's going to happen if my character dies? Don't make me make a strength roll. A con save. No. But now I'm like, oh, you want me to roll this thing that I have -2 in? Hell yes. Let's go. Yeah. And I like, even though like, yes, I put a lot of thought and soul and character work into my characters, I'm not afraid of them dying anymore.
I think you're afraid of like one character in particular dying before
resolving their story. Yes. That's something else.
Yeah. But yeah, now you're not just afraid of like, again, Boblin the Goblin, who you just made. Like, okay, if Boblin dies, like, all right, you finally gotten to the point, Lisa. You finally did it.
Well, yeah, and like, if in the long campaign I'm playing with Austin, if the character that I play in that dies, like, I love that character so much, and she is one of my favorite characters, because it's like one of my oldest characters, and like, yes, I'd be sad, but shit, I got backup characters on backup characters. I know exactly how they would. I know exactly how they would fit into this party. Exactly how they would fit into this world. I've already talked to Austin, and Austin's just like, no, I have plans for Layla. And I'm like, okay, but like, we're literally about to go into this fire giant. We're about to go into the fire giant kingdom. I'm gonna die. I am made of paper. It's gonna happen. It's fine.
Yeah, you've gotten to the point. Like, I remember us talking about this way back when, of just like, and I think it was Rachel, of just like, both of us talking about, we just have like 1 million characters ready to go, and you're like, got like 3, and it's like, you'll get there. You'll get there.
I don't have 1 million characters, but I've got like 5 or 6 in the bag, and I kind of cycle through them, and I make variations on them, and I take very much like the Sondheim approach. So the way that, like, you know, Sondheim composes music for his shows is he has this one little melody, and then he'll like put it upside down or do it slower, half step up, you know, like flip it around and like just do like one little thing to it, and it becomes a different tune. That's what I do with my characters. I'm like, all right, I got this little guy that I can be obsessed about. What if he was a different... No, okay, listen, you love to call me out for being like, oh, you play as tiefling warlocks, and like, I have the one tiefling character. I have 2 warlocks, sure, yes. But if you want to call me out on like the one thing that most of my characters have in common, white-haired mages. That's... I have like 4 white-haired mages.
Casters in general.
Yeah. I literally have, 4 white-haired casters. I'm counting I have a fairy character that I haven't been able to play yet. That's a fairy bard. That has half white hair, half black hair. So I'm counting that as a...
Lisa.
Listen, she's edgy.
Oh, you're just leaning into the early 2000s anime, huh?
Oh yeah. So what's the point if I'm not having a good time?
Half black hair, half white hair. All right. We got way off topic from one D&D.
I mean, whatever. That's kind of the point of this podcast, is these conversations.
Sure. My last point that I was making, I was like, I'm just liking how they're tweaking some of the magic. I think.
Yes.
Taking advantage of reactions, taking advantage of bonus actions for a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like there's definitely some work to be done. I think like one of my biggest complaints with the rules as they are in 5e is I feel like most classes, most characters, like, for example, in that, like, one shot that I played with Austin, a lot of the people at that table had either only played once or had never played. And so we're going through this combat, and I'm trying to explain, okay, so parts of combat, you have action, bonus action, move, and Austin would ask, okay, do you want to use your bonus action? And they're blank stare, because when you go into D&D Beyond, they go look at bonus actions, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
No. There's 2-weapon fighting. Can I 2-weapon fight?
Which, like, nobody used, because also everybody in that game was playing casters.
And most people in general don't use, because they don't use 2 weapons usually, because 2-weapon fighting kind of sucks.
Yeah, 2-weapon fighting kind of sucks, because you don't get to add your proficiency or anything. Like, it's
unless
basically
you take
just
the feats and do the thing, and
yeah,
fighting style or whatever.
No. Oh man, it was nice. We were playing, I think, level 7 or something, like a slightly higher level, and I had 2 attacks per action. Ooh, that was really
That's
fun.
A new phenomenon for you, huh?
Get into stabby stab, but I would have loved to have been able to like cast Blade Ward as a bonus action, or God, what's the other one?
Strike.
Yeah, or True Strike. It's fun. I like also that there's some of the spells they're changing the school to stuff that makes more sense. Dancing Lights is illusion now. Blindness is... It wasn't. Right? That doesn't make sense. I think Dancing Lights was Evocation before, which like doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. It's kind of in between.
And now Flaming Sphere is Evocation, which makes sense.
That wasn't
Flaming
before?
I know.
What? Again, you can see how much I play casters. I'm like,
yeah,
all
exactly.
the fire magic, that has to be evocation magic, right?
Right. That would only make sense.
Yes.
But no, I guess not. Stone skin, I guess, was not transmutation before, but now it is.
What?
Right. Exactly. So there are some things that now make sense. Telepathy is now divination.
How do you people do this magic thing?
Like, yeah, there's some... you just kind of... You just gotta know a lot of words. And hope for the best. And then there's the people who are, you know, crazy and like, you know, custom make spells for their characters, and good God, could not be me.
And again, I'm not super 100% against that thing, but like, there's also so much magic. How can you not find something that fits the bill? Or
you
like,
know,
if it
sometimes you need to do something really.
Bill, well, guess what? That's magic. If you make a spell that does exactly the thing that you want to do, like, that could be a whole quest to, you know, create a magic thing that does the thing you want to do exactly the way you do it. Yeah,
I think that's actually a really great, like, plot hook for a wizard, is, like, searching, you know, spending, like, your B plot is, like, you know, spending any of, like, downtime, rest time in towns and in libraries doing research because you're trying to prepare a brand new ritual to do something.
Yeah. It's not something you just give to a player at, like, level 1.
Right. No, of course.
People do.
Well, you know, a lot of people do a lot of things that we don't necessarily agree with. I think that's UA, expert classes. I think that's the second UA. I think that there's going to be probably the next one is probably going to come out by the end of the month. That's kind of what it sounds like. And I think with 3 of these, then I'll actually be like, enough. There's going to be enough there for me to actually try to play test this. Because right now,
just with a partial play test with the original one.
Yeah.
And then this one only has some of the classes, which you could, you know, play a one-shot with, but hopefully the next one's a little more robust on the class side. But, you know, overall, I'm liking some of those changes that they're making.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Yeah. All right.
I think it's time to call an episode.
That's the sode. We've been talking for like 30 minutes longer than we thought we would. We keep saying it's going to be a short episode, and then we're like, 100% my fault. Blame it on me. You know, you took the fall for yesterday.
Let's talk about here. I mean, you're the one who got into talking about the influence thing. We just went left with that. We just went crazy with that.
Well, you know, that's kind of the point of the show, isn't it?
We just gone to the UA from the beginning then. But no, all right. There's no such thing as a short episode. It's all content. We're just the content machines. We just keep on going.
Listen, we have a lot of thoughts, and we're gonna share them, and you can't stop us.
That's our real catchphrase.
That's the Oops All Dragons promise.
We're gonna share them, but you can't stop us.
You can't make me shut up.
Okay, give the plugs. I'm losing my voice.
Like, comment, subscribe. Go YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Tell your friends. You know, go to the Patreon. Yes, give me $1.
Patreon.com/OopsAllDragons.
I'm so poor. I don't have a desk. Give me $1 so I can buy an actual desk, and Varun can stop bullying me about not having a desk. So I don't have to rearrange the furniture in my living room every time I have to record. Slide us $1 if you think that our opinions are good, and join our Discord so that I have more excuses to talk about this stuff.
And hopefully soon I'm going to start redoing all of our old episode thumbnails. Things are going to look a little nicer, and I'm also going to come up with some of the shorts. Some little shorts that we can put on YouTube of little snippets of the little fun bits of conversation that we've had.
Get those clicks.
That engagement, baby. Engagement.
Yeah. That's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's the Patreon, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and telling your friends. And
share us all around.
Yeah.
That's
Tell
the
us.
best thing you could do.
tell us your thoughts on the UAs so far and what you look forward to seeing. And, like, have you submitted any feedback to Wizards? Like, we want to know, like, what do the people want? Yeah, and that's us. That's a sode. Leave me alone. Go away. Goodbye. Get out of my house.
Get off of my lawn!
Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our show is edited by Noel Hernandez, our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo art is by Azif On Q. Links to more of their work and their social media will be in the show notes. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.